Warzone's most significant challenge stems from a major foundational problem. With a heavyweight like Battlefield 6 poised to capture the attention of many Call of Duty players, it's crucial to confront the obvious issue. For the best part of a decade, Activision had sidestepped the claim that lobbies were influenced by an algorithm. Finally, a little over a year ago, they addressed skill-based matchmaking. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hacking, lag, desync, two-boxing, VPNs, and audio issues are all way more important. What if I told you that all of these concerns can be traced back to Warzone's lobby manipulation in the first place? Let's break down the current landscape in the Warzone skill matrix. To illustrate, let's pretend that the Warzone player base on a given day consists of 50,000 players. We currently have 11 playlists, not including Plunder and Bootcamp. That's less than 5,000 players per playlist if they were divided equally. And then skill-based matchmaking has to work in each of those. But those players aren't all on at once, and definitely less during off hours or low traffic days. Ranked has extremely strict skill-based matchmaking to provide the most competitive gameplay. If we look at the other two divisions in casuals and pubs, they are vastly separated. Solos has a straightforward average based on skill rank, connection, last 10 matches, platform, voice capabilities, input device, and connection, just like we learned in last year's chart directly from Activision. Duos tend to be more strict, often forming tight-knit buddy systems and applying all the previously mentioned factors. Where it gets really complicated is quads. Quads introduce way more variables, leading to a broader range of possibilities. If you and a friend have a 1.5 KD and the lobby averages around a 1.0, you're likely going to be paired with less skilled players. Conversely, if you party up with a full team of 4, the system tends to be more aggressive, creating a tougher, skilled lobby. This leads to the emergence of two-boxing as players realizing that teaming with lower skilled players could make the lobbies easier. For argument's sake, let's label players as a sweat, an average, or a casual. Ranked players will excel within their skill bracket and eventually plateau, creating a domino effect. Those sweaty ranked players will then take breaks and shift to pubs, causing congestion, where 4 randoms that are pitted against 4 skilled ranked players. Frustrated pub players then migrate to casual modes, where the casuals then face the consequences of the higher skill opponents. All of these divisions, modes, and squad sizes thin the player base and tighten the player pool. With fewer players, it becomes increasingly likely to encounter higher skilled opponents as the casuals have left out of sheer frustration. Add a cheater into the mix and it's game over. The player base is already diminishing due to a seasonal fatigue and a lack of content, compounded by the absence of fun. The SBMM, designed to keep players engaged, ironically stifles enjoyment by funneling average players into increasingly competitive lobbies. Last year, Call of Duty branded this system as EOMM, or Engagement Optimized Matchmaking, intended to keep the players engaged by providing lobbies based on variables in a complex algorithm, not just skill. However, with so few players and so many options, the system is fundamentally flawed from the outset. They claim that the connection stability and time to match are paramount, which makes sense. The challenge arises when skill and performance are added into the mix. If I'm queued as a solo in a random squad, am I meant to carry the lower skilled players facing those fatigued ranked players in a pub lobby? If you're a regular on my channel, you'll know that most of my content is designed to help improve you as a player. But at what point does my desire to improve in these lobbies alter my queue's skill bracket? Essentially, is the algorithm listening to that, quote, one more game mentality merely to see if I'll stick around for a few more matches? The goal of this system seems to be to keep players hooked on the dopamine of outperforming the last game. However, like any addiction, the high is never sufficient. There's no possible scenario where everyone can have a PR game every time. Activision has milked the algorithm to keep their dedicated players engaged while providing protection to casuals by offering actual bots. Currently, whatever the player count really is significantly less than before, and the player pools are too thin to accommodate 11 playlists. If you throw in some of those unusual gaming hours, you have a serious problem. How many times have you concluded a game only to find yourself in the same lobby or teamed with players from the previous match? It's evident that the system prioritizes time to match over healthy skill gaps. Moreover, casual gamers who left regular modes to escape the sweat are now being overwhelmed by regular teams that are burned out by the chaos. This leads them to play less frequently, causing the player pool to shrink further. Consequently, average players are being matched with higher skilled players, feeding the addiction cycle. This force through also comes at the loss of ideal lobby connection in order to introduce a lobby that will likely keep a player playing longer. Another issue is platform and input. The fact that the greed of Call of Duty continues to support last-gen consoles enables out-of-date platforms to continue to survive. Players are placated to a delusional state of mind that their console from 7 years ago will forever be able to perform against these sweatier player setups. This puts significant strain on the optimization team to further squeeze the potential on older hardware. Would the soundscape be more efficient on 3 platforms instead of 5? Would the game run smoother if it weren't being developed for multi-cross-platformed and on dozens of different inputs? The hacker dilemma is more related to this issue than you think. Now, when you bring cheating into the discussion, it's essential to recognize that some players would hack even if the game were flawless. However, after interviewing several cheaters, I've noted that many feel compelled to cheat due to the suffocating nature of skill-based matchmaking. While it doesn't justify their actions, many cheaters believe they have no other options, and they subscribe to the mantra, if you can't beat them, then join them. In their quest for revenge, they continue to disrupt the player pool. More hackers solidify the notion that everyone that kills them is also a hacker, and that it snowballs into shadow bans that have little merit. In fact, shadow banning every player that kills you thins the player base in your lobbies in masses, because guess what that means? They're going to another playlist for 2 weeks. Now, if they're actually cheating, perfect, let them rot. But if they're not, then that's one less higher skilled random from the player pool to get queued up with you or your squad in a regular lobby. My solution is simple. Eliminate some playlists. I understand the outrage this may cause, such as, I can't play solos today except in casuals. However, the best way to increase the player pool is to stop dividing players in the first place. By removing duos on one side or trios on the other, you would compel the mismatched teams to play with random players, allowing this skill ecosystem to function more effectively with a larger player base. This would provide all players with a fairer starting point. Regardless of improvements, if there are fewer players to match with overall, we will continue to see player retention decline. Over time, this dwindling player count will ultimately hinder every player's ability to find enjoyable matches. I think that's what the real issue is. The gameplay has improved from Modern Warfare 2 because the movement came back, and so did the outplayability. But then they also turned up skill-based matchmaking. Now with the new movement being added into Black Ops 7, I can't help but think skill-based matchmaking will once again undergo a huge increase. What do you guys think? Does the algorithm need turned down? I'd love to know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And like I always say, keep building, keep adapting. Sit rep out.